man, when I go off on a tangent sometime, I was just speaking in tongues. Actually, I was just speaking in a language that only 3 people know. No, I wasn't. Moving to Virginia. I started talking about it. I talked about the night I did the tribute to myself video. And I left. Originally, I wanted to just give that to a few people and let them pass it around and see it afterwards. But then I thought, I really wanted to see people's reactions to it. I wanted to see, because there are some scenes that I filmed specifically, and they're very dramatic, and I didn't realize how dramatic they were going to look before I recorded them. But moving to Virginia was one of the best and one of the worst things I've ever done. The best thing about it was the explorer in me was sated for a little while. It was just like, I need to see something new. I need to see something new. I felt like Taunton was closing in on me. And my family at the time, as small as it was at the time. And I just felt like we needed to change, to get out and get away. The hardest part of it all was, the only thing I wouldn't have wanted to change was the distance that I had or didn't have with my friends. Because, it's like the song Silver and Gold. You always make new friends, and they're wonderful friends. They're shiny as silver, but the relationships that you form over your life, especially the first almost 30 years, that has a profound effect on you. People get to know you very personally, even, huge details about you. And so, that's a huge change. So, moving, I highly recommend it. Like, if you have any desire to, I find it strange that, and I know there's just different walks of life. Some people can live in one city their whole life, never leave the city, maybe go on vacations outside the city, and, be perfectly okay with that, and, call it a day when it's all said and done. But, to me, that's crazy. But to someone else, moving away from everything you've known for 30 years is crazy, But it was the adventure of it all that really called me. I remember we stayed at, when Carol and I came down to look at houses, Gwen had stayed at home, and the first night we were in Galix County, and I think I talked about that, but we stayed the next night, we stayed at not at the same hotel, I can't remember where it was, but it wasn't near a lot of things, so we ended up driving in and going to Target that night. I think I wanted to get the new Bon Jovi CD. Or actually, they happened to have it, and I wanted it, and I bought it, which I shouldn't have, because it was like a box set or something. But walking into the Target and have it being flipped around, or walking into Kroger or Food Lion or local grocery stores that they don't have back home, that's the thrill of it to me, seeing all these new things. It's just I don't know. I don't want to say it's like a game, but it's what I don't know. It's one of those things that I live for, seeing new things and exploring, and I think that's why we're at where we are again. The debate really comes down to, we've really wanted to move on to the West Coast, whether it's California, we've thought about San Diego, which we can't afford, but there might be something out there. San Francisco is where IGN is, and I applied for it. That would have been nice if that kind of panned out, but I haven't heard anything. I probably won't, but I thought it was worth a shot. It's a sign. I look for those signs for the universe to say, hey, we're going to give you this job, which means you now have to move to this location. We've thought about Portland and other parts of Oregon. We recently talked, I got just some really small advice from a friend in Utah. The problem is I want to live closer to the ocean, and I really want to see the West Coast. And even beyond that, I'd like to just move to Europe, to be completely honest. If I could do that, I'd be thrilled. However, that's huge. And like, why not see what you can here before you take that kind of plunge? And there's so much that, I haven't seen here. So moving is such a funny thing, man. It's such a financial nightmare. And like, I definitely don't want to, I think, own a house again, or not for a while until I'm ready to just like settle down, because just too much comes along with it. You're responsible for everything, and if you run into a situation like our roof, we need a new roof, but we can't really afford to replace it. So what do? Like, we don't have a choice. Like, my credit's horrible right now. I mean, I don't mean to make this depressing, like, when you move away, everything goes to hell. But it just is. And I don't care. Like, I refuse to ever have credit again in my life. I won't get up to that. That's a good topic. Credit. Don't want to forget that one. Yeah, so that's the whole thing of moving. Leaving friends behind is the hardest thing. Like, whenever I have an opportunity to have somebody come visit, or even just talk to them on the phone, or Skype, or however I communicate with them, like, it's just phenomenal talking. I talk to Mario about 3 times a year. Corey, on and off. We talk, or text, or email, or whatever. And now I've been talking more and more to other people that I hadn't talked to in a while, which feels pretty good, because, and this doesn't go against anybody personally, but I feel like, in a way, like, I guess it's our own fault for leaving, but like, I almost felt like the reverse had happened. Like, I don't want to get into that tonight. Credit, I don't want to talk about that tonight. 2 things I wanted to talk about. A quote. I've had this on my Gmail account for quite some time now. And it's just, how you can do your little quote at the end, or sign off line or something. And I don't think this quote has ever been tracked to a source. And it's, I do not intend to tiptoe quietly through life, only to arrive safely at death. And I love that. I love that. Like, I like seeing it every time I send an email, because that it makes me think about it. And I think, you know what, that's when you got to take those chances and those risks. Move to Virginia and see what happens, And for the most part, I think it's been a good move. Like, it's not up until recently, it's gotten to the point where I really, 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 really don't want to be here anymore. It's strange. Like, I love my job and the people I work with. They're great people. I mean, Carol's got a decent job. We have a nice house. I mean, it needs some work, but we got a fairly good-sized yard. And I mean, it's an ideal situation. It's close to highways, airports, hospitals. It's a perfect place to live, and it's very peaceful here. I mean, you've got basically the population is probably like 90%, Christian here, and I'm saying that as a good thing, not necessarily a great thing, but like, you don't have a lot of violence because of it. I mean, and there's parts of Lynchburg that aren't, the best places, but anybody who thinks that this place is a scary or dangerous place has never lived like close to DeWert or like Paul Bonka. Like there's nothing that bad here. Like, so there's no reason for me to complain about that aspect of living here. It's just, I'm bored. I want something new. But at the same time, I think about, I went up to Ossipee. I don't think I saw everybody when I came back, but in Ossipee there was this really cool house. It was on 5 acres, and the price was really good. Like, we probably could have sold our house a little bit under market here and still been able to afford the payments on that house. But it was one of those things where we would have had to have acted like immediately, because it was going to auction. Like, we would have had to have had a way to pay for it right off the bat, basically. And so it didn't work out. But there's actually videos of me, Mario, Corey, Nicole. I think that's it. I went up there. I stayed with Corey and Nicole. Thank you again. And we picked up Mario the next morning. We went to eat at some kind of Portuguese restaurant, Portuguese breakfast restaurant. Oh no, I think they just did omelets. And I think I got. Oh, I ended up going with a linguiça one at the time because this was a few years ago. I was still eating meat, and but there's so many options. Not spaghetti. There was a meatball omelet. I was just like, man, I like gross things like that. I really wanted to try it, but I never had linguiça. Down here, they just started carrying it a few years ago, but not the patties, just the sausage. Like, I wish they would carry like the patties or well, not anymore because I don't eat it. But those are the things that I miss about back home too. Is like the familiarity of going to a grocery store like Shaw's or Stop and Shop, and knowing I can go to the meat section and find variations of chorizo or linguiça, and just be able to handpick whatever I want. My point being is that I love New Hampshire. I love the White Mountains in New Hampshire. Everywhere I've been, and I liked Florida too. A lot of people like Florida, but Florida has some pretty interesting weather patterns, and that's enough to entertain the thought of moving there someday. Just because I like their rain. Their rain is awesome. Like, it rains for like 10 minutes hard, and you get soaked, and then the sun comes out, and it dries it all up, and it's just like, wow, that was crazy. I think natural phenomenons like that appeal to me. Like, I mean, I'd love to live in California, not for the earthquakes, but just because I want to dip my feet in the Pacific Ocean, you know? I want to live in an area where more people are laid back. And, I mean, I guess, you know, some of the big cities, they're probably no different than the big cities here or Massachusetts or whatever. But, that being said, I mean, I'd love to live near San Diego. I'd like to live outside of San Diego, somewhere a little bit more quiet. But I want to drive out into the desert and, like, I don't know, just hang out in the desert, you know? Is that okay? I mean, do I have to have any other purpose than just pulling over and, you know, walking out a mile and just looking at things? Like, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. You're going places that people don't just normally go and do things like that. Like, yeah, we've pretty much explored a good portion of the earth, but, like, nobody cares about a lot of it anymore. Like, nobody cares about a specific square footage of desert out in Arizona or something, you know, that nobody ever goes out there. There's no oil, there's no reason to be out there. I think that's fun. Like, the woods are like that for me too. Like, I love, like, you drive by, so it's kind of disappointing and it's a letdown. Like, I remember doing this once. It was on the highway, and I pulled into a rest area, and I started looking around, and I was like, man, this is like when you're driving down the highway and you see forest on each side, you think, man, I'm in the middle of it right now. But you're not. Like, it's so depressing. You can stop at these rest areas or something, like, walk through the woods a bit, and there's, like, not everywhere, I'm sure, but, like, you know, where I've stopped, like, there's just, like, houses or businesses beyond the highway. You know, you take an exit and you get off, and obviously that stuff exists somewhere near the exit. Sometimes I think exits are just these magical portals that bring you to distant lands. Teleportation, man. Why can't that have come about in my life, man? Because that would have just solved so much. Well, I guess probably not, because let's face it, it's gonna be just paying for anything. You'd have to. Oh man, that really brings up a lot of questions. Like, if you had your own teleportation portal and you could program it to go to other portals, like, I guess it would eventually have to get to the point where you'd be scheduling when you'd be able to step into the portal. Because what am I getting? Ooh, this is a good story idea. You know, because you don't want to, like, bump into somebody at the same, unless the portals are wide open fields or something. I don't know. It's good to think about. Gives me story ideas. Someday I hope to write some more books. I have so many ideas for books. Literally, like, I could probably write 5 novels right now, and at least 2 or 3 nonfiction books. Easily, if I had the time and the patience and an editor. Because I enjoy writing. I think I'm creative. I think I come up with enough original ideas that like I'm not just rehashing what I've read in my lifetime. And I'm not saying it's like so unique, but each story I think that I've been thinking of this last year has such a twist on it that I feel like it just kind of sets it apart. Like sometimes you can read a book and be like, yeah, it was a pretty good book, but it's nothing set it apart from the last book you read in the genre. Problem is, I just don't have time. I do this at night right now, and I love doing this. Or I draw. I haven't been able to draw lately, but I'm not too upset about that. I'll get back to it soon. Why not? My friend Sam is getting married. He wears a kilt a lot. And I think he's wearing it to the wedding. 15 minutes. I guess I kind of got my point about moving. I don't know. It's messed up. Like, I just want to move. I really do. Like, and I think the whole family's kind of getting to that point too. I know Gwen would love to live anywhere near LA because, I don't know. Like everyone who moves to LA, they have a dream and a hope, and how many people actually, make it, I don't know. I'm sure there's a percentage, a reasonable percentage. I think it's more who you know and being at the right place at the right time, to be completely honest. But that's not a bad thing, Just can't give up on what you want to do, no matter what it is. The minute you do that, you're on a downward spiral. Like, don't give up on what you want to do. I'm not saying it's going to work out, but I just think, that's what life's about, really, is not giving up on what you want to do and finding what you want to do. I mean, that's a journey in and of itself. It's taken me a long time to, like I talked about happiness in the previous video and like letting myself be happy and stuff like that. And I think that's super important. Like letting go of all the reasons to be angry or anything like that. Like, a lot of people I know get stressed very easily when it comes to money. And I stress too. That's probably my biggest stress, and I'm sure that's a lot of people's stress. But if we all are as broke as it seems to me, I mean, everybody gets along. But like, I have a family of 5 and a mortgage, and that I have to, pay. That doesn't matter. I'm not going to go into the details of all this. But, I mean, I have reasons to allow money to become my stress. But you know what? I think that kills people real quick. Like, I think stress is probably one of the bigger killers. I'd have to look it up statistically. I don't know. But, I mean, why do you want to live like that? Why do you want to live, like, fearing if I got one in the mail today, late payment on something? All right. What can I do? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm doing everything I can do. And I'm not going to let your letters ruin my life. Like, I mean, I know this is treading on some ground that, like, I don't really enjoy talking about it. Or, like, but I think it's important to, like, know that there's other people that feel this way out there. Like, and I think it's all just a scam anyway. Just money in general. It's just, what is money? It's paper. People willing to kill and die and put people in jail for that. I'm getting a little deep, huh? Yeah. Yes, I am on the road to 40. 19 minutes. My God, I still haven't talked about The Walking Dead season finale tonight. I want to, at this point, it doesn't matter because the show's almost over on the East Coast, so people will be sharing it on the internet within the next probably 15 minutes. People are getting crazy. I think they race to it now. Not that I go through those means. I would never do anything like that. But I guess it's a little late to predict anything because it's out there now. However, this is being recorded at 9:50 on Sunday night. So if you want to see my predictions of something that's already happened, come back in just a minute for the next video. We'll be not surprised together, probably, the next time I watch this. So go make somebody smile, or else.